All right, hello guys, Caleb here. Hope you're doing well. Um, this is going to be maybe, I'll just start up by saying, uh, love you, God bless you, and if you just want to skip the reaction, I will put the timestamp in the comments, and I will put it in the description, so you can easily just go to that. It's going to be a big long intro because I want to get a lot of things sort of said and just things are clear. Um, this may be the. I guess I'll start out by saying that I try to be real honest in my reactions, and I don't look at these videos like do not laugh challenge or something like that. I love comedy, and I want to. And also, I don't want to make. I'm not trying to make videos that are like that make people upset. My biggest, one of my most watched videos, most reacted to, and probably most negatively reacted to was my reaction to Billie Jean by Michael Jackson, and um, yeah, I just didn't think it was a great song, but there was some parts in it, some little part at the end that I liked. Um, so you can see I'm not just trashing something. Um, I try to say if I think, and in the first Jefferies video, I think I smiled or chuckled a little bit. Um, the first gun control video, and he has made me. I think I've heard of some other funny things he said. So, I love Jefferies, and I love comedy. Anybody who's trying to make something funny and make the world a better place. But I wasn't gonna make another video because someone had commented a while ago that reactions should make people feel better, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, and then I thought about it more, and I'm like, yeah, you know what, I just want to make content that people like and stuff that makes people feel better and have a better day. I want people, when they're done watching something, to feel better than before when they stop, and I don't want to make arguing. I don't want to make yeah, I want to make the world a better place for everybody. So, um, some people said I should react to the second part. This particular user, David Monahan, and uh, he said that this might be somewhat illuminating. The second part. And so the reason I'm going to this big long thing at the beginning is just because it's such a negative reaction to the first thing, and people are real upset. And as long as people, here's the thing, I'm pretty open. So if somebody comes and says to me, "Hey, in this city, they implemented these regulations that have to do with guns, and the overall death rate went down, and we can prove that it was because of this law." Okay? I'll look into the law at least, and I will, if it seems reasonable, I will be fully supportive. I'm not one of these people like, no, nothing to do with guns ever, no laws. I just want to give guns to children and people with mental disability, not disability, mental, issues that should be in a psych ward, and give them, nuclear weapons and let them kill and destroy everything. No, I'm not like that at all. I am a big supporter of people having guns, and people always point to America, but they never look at Switzerland that also has a very high gun rate. But anyway, I'm not going to get into specifics. But an example of something I was trying to think of is like, let's say in a city they made a law where if you have a gun, only you can maintain it and hold it. And then they see that deaths had gone down because then the people who were buying the guns are usually the ones that are more experienced with the guns, so they're not just handing it off to somebody who they don't know you know their friend that might never have held a gun, and then so there's less deaths because there's less chance of them shooting someone else or themselves, something like this. Um, or I was that was the first thing that came to mind, but I could see a law like that, and I'm not even necessarily. I would have to think about it more, but I think there's that seems on the surface to be logical if that did make a difference. I was gonna say that some people claim that I delete comments and things and get upset, and that's true. I do delete comments, but only for if they're mean, if they use swear words, or if they attack me or anyone personally. So, I'm Christian, and it made me think of a few things, and that I forgive people that I don't hold a grudge. It's just like if you want to revise your repost, whatever. Some people put some interesting things, or they have a point, and then they end it with, "What do you think of that, jackass?" or something like that. And so I'm like, well, if you would have just left your information, I would have been happy to not delete the comment. And somebody can make their own videos or whatever about these things, but I don't want to let negativity just sit out there, and I'm trying to help people, help everyone, help the world. I want to hear good points, and like I said, I'm open to suggestions about positive things that may involve gun regulation. So anyway, there's other Bible verses that say, like, fools find no pleasure in understanding. Do not answer a fool according to his folly, or you yourself will be just like him. Avoiding a fool is a mark of honor. Only fools insist on quarreling. And all wise people I know, even people who are self-proclaimed atheists, are open discussion, but generally are not big on arguing and try to avoid it. The biggest who I make reference to a lot is Sam Harris, who I think his brain is the closest to the way that my brain functions. At least that's how it seems to me. I could be wrong, but of any like celebrity I know I don't know if I call him a celebrity, but yeah, I'll leave it at that. To me, I feel like the most related to him in terms of how we think. So another thing is that this comedians, they come out with like, oh, it's just a joke, and that's true, but they usually go for jokes that are surrounding and in support of their own beliefs, and if they say something outlandish or something that's just completely not true, but it kind of helps their point, they kind of run back to, oh, it's just a joke, I'm just a comedian. And the example I can show is most clearly is Jon Stewart, who again I love. I really love Jon Stewart, but people would say, hey, you should try to be more. You should try to present these things in a more truthful manner. And then he would run into, oh, well, this is a joke, it's a comedy show. And yeah, that's true, but he's where a lot of people get their information from for political things. And if you have a loudspeaker, meaning you have a big TV show or a podcast or you're a celebrity or whatever, people will you have to consider that there's a lot of dumb people and they will take what you say as truth. So the Jim Jefferies thing, people were saying, I would say, no, this is a lie. This is a complete lie. In the first part, when he said, people who want guns, protection is a false claim. That's just not true, and they only want them for guns. For the fact that they like them. That's the only reason. Again, this is just a complete lie, and it turns into a strawman argument, and then at the end he goes into this like ad hominem slash red herring, uh, and just kind of trying to shame uh, people who disagree with him by saying how mad they are. And in addition, that's it's an assumption, but there's this logical fallacy where people think if someone is right about one thing, then they must be right about another. And so him saying like, oh, this 10% of these people are real mad, that doesn't mean that he's right. That doesn't mean at all that he's right. That doesn't lend credence to any of his argument. So it's really completely irrelevant. And again, it's sort of a red herring or ad hominem attack, and it's an assumption. So all of these things are, it's just completely, and so, yeah, you can say it's a joke, and people are laughing. People, he obviously had a crowd that liked him, and I like him too. Again, I'm just saying that he is. It's not like he's making jokes where he is a gun supporter and he's making jokes. He doesn't support guns. He wants them taken away, and he's shaming people he's trying to make them look bad in the process. And he's fine. He's totally free to do that. But I'm free to say too that his points are wrong and illogical, and I don't have to think they're funny. But I've heard jokes, plenty of jokes, that where I disagree with the premise or I disagree with the point, but I still laugh because it's just super funny. So I think Jim Jefferies is a funny guy and he says good jokes, but not all of his jokes I think are funny, and I didn't find those ones funny. I think of a quote by Patrice O'Neill, who's a wonderful, great comedian. He's sadly passed, but he said, "You can't deny the truth." And so he would come out and say, he wasn't like the edgiest comedian, but he would say stuff that people would kind of be taken back by, and he would hold on to it because as he believed, and as I think you can evidently see clearly by like Dave Chappelle's new special, is you can't deny the truth. And that's not to say that some people won't get fired from their job or whatnot. That does happen, but and that in certain places of the world you will be killed for telling the truth and whatnot. But everybody knows in their head what really is the truth. Unless they've been brainwashed or something or tricking themselves. And in that sense, at least, it can't be denied. Yeah. So like Dave Chappelle's came up with this. He said this joke about like white people and how he would be like, I forgot exactly the joke, but how he would kind of be like happy when he'd see white people hooked on drugs. And I didn't think I thought I get the humor in it. I don't remember if I laughed, but it was upsetting to me. But I didn't. I didn't claim that he should get canceled or people shouldn't watch the stuff or whatever. It's his thing. But a joke where I did think was funny, but I support the other side of sort of what this person believes. But he was also like really he was really truthful about what he was saying. It's like I'm saying Dave Chappelle and Louis C.K. So this Louis C.K. At least truthful from their perspective. So Louis C.K. would say, talk about abortion, and he would say like, it's either you're killing a baby or you're not. And so that's what I believe it is. And he was kind of showing true perspective. And he said that he didn't think it was that, but he was saying, like, if you look from the other person's point of view, you can see it at, if you really truly believed it was killing a baby, you'd understand why people were so up in arms about it and trying to stop it. Imagine if the baby was detached from the mom and the mom had given birth and then they killed it after. That's what people who believe in abortion believe. It's the same or worse than. Same as or worse than. So to me, Jim Jefferies didn't give that sort of truthful. He was just lying, and then kind of just inputting and exploiting other sort of comedic things, and you might say absurd. You could say it's absurdist comedy, but you could tell. I mean, I don't want to say that I know what people are thinking, but people do think this is real. And if you just talk with anybody for long enough, you'll come across arguments that don't make sense, and you'll try to ask them why they think that, and they won't have any response, any legitimate response for it. So I'm real big on good faith arguments, and that means like someone who's really trying to show factually, or having just showing what they believe to be the truth, and after having really looking into something and being clear, and not attacking the person personally or being like smart alex. Some of the YouTube comments will be like have some smarm in them or whatnot. So if you just try to be respectful and bring good points, and you can have really funny comedy where the claims are totally untruthful. Like that can happen. I think usually it's more when it's more funny when the stuff is truthful and it's like really encompassing. But it doesn't have to be. I just found both in the first video. I didn't find it was funny, and I found the points to be just completely false. If not all of them, most of them. So anyway, I do have empathies for these people who kind of just argue and don't have a real response. I remember when I was a kid, somebody posted online like how dumb Blink-182 was, and it was my favorite band, so I said he was dumb and stuff, and because I didn't have any thought out logical response to what he was saying. So anyway, I hope people do, and again, I appreciate people watching even if they don't like what I say or my opinions or whatever. Hopefully at least you feel better. But yeah, okay, gonna get in the video, and God bless.
Second reason, and this is the big one. I'm foreign. And that's pissing the fuck out of you right now. And your brain is on a loop and you can't fucking turn it off. And it's just going around in a circle. And you're just going, if you don't like it, go home. If you don't like it, go home.
I actually didn't know why people would be upset, what he meant by that. I thought maybe he was shooting this in Australia, so wait, no, that would make sense. I guess you're gonna put a comment about how dumb I was by assuming he did it or thinking he was doing it in Australia. But anyway, I don't really think about. I mean, my wife's a foreigner, so if she there's some things that she doesn't like about America, or some things that people don't like about America, or whatever. Here's the thing: is at least with this, he's not just dumping on America. I think that's what most people would have that sort of response to if they ever do. It would be the vast majority of times when it's like, oh, America sucks, or like, oh, my home country is so much better than here, or I want to go back to my home country. I think people from any country would be like, okay, well then leave. If they can. A lot of them can't. But anyway, it's besides the point. I wasn't thinking that. But anyway.
And my answer to that is no. Came here legally, I pay my taxes, I'll say whatever the fuck I want. Your First Amendment means that I can say the Second Amendment sucks dicks.
The best point he's had, by far. Yes, I completely agree. 100%. Yes, amen.
And unless you're an American Indian, you're a fucking immigrant as well, so fuck off. People...
Yeah, I mean, well, any country, even American Indians are immigrants from the original point of where humans started, so I'm not sure if that's really whatever.
People get so precious about it. Like, I understand that to Americans your constitution is very important. I respect it, but please understand that every country has one as well. It's no more special than any other constitution. We have one in Australia.
Does every country have one? I'm not looking at that.
I don't know what it says. I've never seen it. If there's a problem, we'll check it, but everything's going fine. And don't get me wrong, I get that the Constitution's important to you. I have had...
Fine, other than coronavirus lockdowns constantly.
Fucking, I get it, right? I've had people come up to me in my face and scream at me in car parks as I'm leaving the theatre, going, "You cannot change the Second Amendment." And I'm like, yes, you can. It's called an amendment. Like,
That's a good point.
if you can't change something, it's called an amendment. See, many of you need a thesaurus more than you need a constitution.
That's funny.
If you don't know what a thesaurus is, get a dictionary, work your way forward. Don't think your constitution is set in stone. You've changed things before. You used to have prohibition in there, right? And then people were like, hey, who likes getting fucked up? Yeah, I like getting fucked up too. Let's get that one out. Let's get that one out. You used to have this other thing in America called slavery. And then Lincoln came along and went, that's it, no more slaves. And 50% of you went, fuck you, don't take my slaves. And then the same bullshit arguments came out that you have with guns. Why should I have my slaves taken off me? I'm a responsible slave.
Oh my gosh. That's horrendous. Horrendous. But that's a really funny joke. A lot of people don't know that actually there are a few other big points, but in terms of America and the Civil War and that the government didn't want the country divided into two. But anyway, that's a whole other video. That was probably his best joke so far. That was super funny.
I am trained in how to use my slaves safely. Just because that guy mistreated his slaves doesn't mean that my rights should be taken away from me.
Oh no. Oh, that's a funny joke. Oops. Sorry about that. Get cut on my carpet. That's a funny joke.
I use my slaves to protect my family. I keep my slaves locked in a safe.
No.
That's the thing. Why should I have my guns taken off me? I've done nothing wrong. Look, I agree with you. If you're a responsible gun owner and you don't fuck around with them, then you should be allowed your guns. You really should. But
wow. That's surprising he said. Let's hear what his butt has. His second phrase.
that's not how society works. We have to play to the 1% that are such fuckwits they ruin it for the rest of us.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think in countries like like Norway, where they try to rehabilitate people, and um, uh, they have a pretty good grasp on mental health and stuff like that. I think he's coming around. This is yeah, really great second part, because I think the biggest is like, imagine a world where there were no mental health issues. I think there would be essentially no gun shootings, very few. I think it pretty much is always, if somebody's like upset at society, or they if they're trying to steal some, get some, if they're trying to rob a place, because they're poor, and then they shoot somebody. Um, I'm not sure if I would label it as a mental health thing, but I do think like it's bad for your mental health to be that poor that you feel like you need to steal. So I would probably even put it in that thing. So I think, in countries where they deal well with poverty, and which again I would probably group that in mental health because it's so detrimental to mental health. They have, I believe, a low crime and shooting rate in places like Norway and Switzerland.
We have to walk as slow as our slowest person to keep society fucking moving, right? I take drugs like a fucking champion.
Other thing is that the IQs are fairly high in those countries, the average IQs, but
Right?
focusing on the
We
video.
should all be allowed to take fucking drugs.
I agree with that. I think all drugs should be legal. And in Portugal, I know they made them all legal, and then they said if you have a problem, you can come and get help, and we'll help you. And the drug rate usage rate went way down.
But we can't, can we? Because Sarah took drugs and she stabbed her fucking kids. Thanks, Sarah. You fucked it up for everyone, right? Everyone should be allowed to drive their car as fast as they can do it, right? But
I don't know about that. I'd have to think about that for a long time, and I won't make the video with that. I know it's already way too long. So.
We can't because Jonathan got drunk and ran over a family. Thanks, Jonathan! Now I have to drive at 30, you fucking idiot! See, that's the thing. Why should I have my guns taken off me? I'm responsible just because that guy's crazy. Who's to say you're not crazy? That's the thing about crazy people. They don't know they're crazy.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, I mean, we couldn't agree more on this. Is like mental health. And I think a lot of people who commented on my previous video, mental health was not super great. If you're, I'm really trying to do well and help people. And if you're, attacking me personally, I'm guessing you're not doing super well mentally. Again, if you want to try to change my mind, I'm all ears to good points, factual, logical. If you have some good experience and you want to have something to tell me. And I think all around just being more caring and loving and trying to help people as opposed to creating, fighting or being a bad person. Anyway.
That's what makes them crazy. The only thing you know for sure on this earth is I think, therefore I am. You know that you exist. Anything past that is open to interpretation, right? You know you exist and that's it.
But I guess exposing maybe my own intelligence here, I never really understand that quote because, yeah, I guess I just don't get it, but that's whatever.
Right now, I think I'm in Boston talking to 1,200 people. That's what I think I'm doing. But there is a good to fair chance that I'm in a mental home standing in front of a white wall going, I hate guns, I hate guns, I hate guns.
Okay, maybe you could just kind of help me understand the quote. That's pretty funny, though. That's really funny.
See, one of the better arguments is, well, if you take the guns away, then only the criminals will have guns. Not true. When they banned the guns in Australia, it worked. When they banned them in Britain, it worked. Okay.
The police have guns, right? Military. I think maybe some security guards might have guns.
That Bushmaster gun that the kid was going to use in Sandy Hook cost like $1,000 American. You can buy it in Walmart. It'll be delivered to your house. That's it, man. $1,000, right? That same gun in Australia on the black market costs $34,000. Now, if you have $34,000, you don't need to be a criminal. You've got $34,000. You're a great little saver. Keep going. So that covers the criminals, but that doesn't cover the people who want to murder your family, that are coming after you and your family. It kind of does. Like the people who do the massacres, it covers them because the kid at Colorado who thought he was the Joker, let's say that he had some social issues. The kid at Sandy Hook was Asperger's as fuck. Right? I don't know if you know a lot about the black market, but you can't just rock up at the docks going, guns! Who wants to sell me a gun? Now I'm going to wrap this up. We won't talk about it anymore now.
That's an interesting point. But people who want to do like a lot, I mean, it depends on how dedicated you are. But if you're crazy but also smart, some people get bombs, which can be much more deadly than guns. And there was I believe it was the same day or week in Sri Lanka, I want to say. There was a bombing that killed like 200 people. The same day that there was a shooting in New Zealand. In New Zealand, same day there was a bombing in New Zealand. Like the guy, I don't know how he killed. I think it was like under 50, which is again horrible, but less than 200. And nobody paid any attention to Sri Lanka. And you could say there's other. There's certain reasons for that, and that it's not an English-speaking country, or racist, that people don't care about people from this certain country. But and I think those are legitimate points. But I think some people didn't report because it doesn't fit the narrative of that how horrible guns are. Whereas, again, bombs can do so much more damage than a gun ever could. And there's still other weapons you can use, like a knife, and that's not as bad as a gun, but you can still do a good amount of damage with a knife. But certainly I would say like the bombing is much worse. And again, my thing is like, what can we see clearly this brought the overall murder rate down? So if guns, if gun usage goes down, but there's more murders, and it's because there's less guns, which someone may hear that and go, "What are you, an idiot? How could you think that?" I'm not saying that would happen, or one thing would happen or other, but if it did, then I would think that the getting rid of the guns was a bad thing. And I will answer that with, again, I know people who personally have stopped someone, a bad person, entering their home or trying to kill them or trying to do harm, and it happens every day where a bad person stopped with a good person with a gun. In the areas that I know where people have a lot of guns, the crime rate in America is far lower than the ones with less gun concentration. But anyway, it's kind of I do want to like bring people together. I think what everybody can agree on is like mental health. As the more we can focus on that, we can get the gun usage, murder rate down as a whole, which is the biggest thing. Whether that be knife, bomb, gun, and anyway, yeah.
See, the one thing that I do really agree with the right to bear arms, I really agree with that. The real reason it was written was so that you could form a militia to fight against a tyrannical government. In case the government became a bunch.
That's interesting because I think that's the biggest reason to have a gun. And I wish he would have brought that up before, but it is a comedy, and that would kill his bit early. And he's trying to make a living, so I get that.
See, the one thing that I do really agree with the right to bear arms, I really agree with that. The real reason it was written was so that you could form a militia to fight against a tyrannical government. Okay?
I never seen this, but I'm guessing what he's gonna say is like, the guns. The military has like Predator drones, and like they have the whole army. The biggest in America, the biggest military in the strongest, I think, military, and like drones and stuff, and can just drop a bomb on your house and whatever. And if he doesn't even get to that point, I just want to say, because this is a point that people bring up a lot. The thing with the military is like most of the people who go through the military are the people who think that people should have the right to, normal citizens should have the right to have guns. So if you told all these people to go and take these people to jail or kill them or whatever, most of them would not do it. They would just say, no, we're not going to go along with it. And you could say, oh, you're going to lose your job or you're going to go to jail or whatever. They go, okay, well, most of the police, or a lot of the police, believe the same thing, that people should have the right to have guns. And what are you going to put the majority of the military in jail? You're going to kill most of the military for not killing the citizens. It becomes this whole thing. And then on top of it, if you're gonna be like dead set on it, you probably kill at least, or in jail, 20% of the American population, at least. And you think anybody would do that, would actually follow through with that? And people, I know for sure people would. Some would be scared, and that's why I said 20% instead of like 40 or 50%. I know some would be scared and they would give up and they would turn themselves in and go to jail and whatever. But I know a certain amount would be like, no, I'm fighting to the bitter end. And a good amount, probably 20% at least. And so you want to kill off or imprison 24% of your population? Not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. If you look at like people, being so resistant to something as like a COVID, getting an injection, people are giving up their jobs, people are, protesting, people. So if they're willing to do for that, something people care much more about, guns, would be much, much bigger. And if the only time would happen if it's truly like taken over by a dictatorship and he could somehow have this like sort of installed in sort of a SS, where in Germany the SS were completely devoted to Hitler, and they were even like another division of the military, from my understanding. And so if somebody got in power and they were to install, or they got some sort of ultra dedicated group just to them to take out anyone who's against them, maybe there's a chance, but that would even be, I think at that point you would get the world turning against you. It would destroy most of the allies that we'd have, and then it would put America in a super weak position. People, you never could trust anybody. It would just be chaos. It's impossible in this current climate. Maybe in a couple, I don't know, 100 years, a couple 100 years or something, if attitudes towards guns change drastically, it could be possible. But otherwise, sending people door to door. I have a lot of family that have been through the military, and a lot of them are like very liberal, and they would probably never vote for a Republican. But I know that they like guns, and I know that even if they agree with gun laws or whatever, they wouldn't go door to door enforcing this law, that something like that, and they wouldn't drop drone bombs on families that are. They wouldn't drop drones or shoot or do anything toward Americans unless it was like you know uh, a group trying to kill them or kill their family or something. Um, so it's just there's so many problems with it, and I probably could go on. That's all the points I can think of right now. But if you're gonna try to turn the military against its own people, it's I mean that's truly ludicrous and just beyond possible. It's so impossible. A place like China and in Tiananmen Square, that may be possible, but it's just not possible in the United States. As of right now, I don't see it being possibility. Um, and if you look at like the I don't know how they do this, but the military branches are able to give money to certain political candidates, and they always give it to the libertarian ones. So and those are virtually all in support of not having gun regulation. So yeah, if you're gonna kill it, turn in your own citizen. And then I guess the other point is, we apparently have the best military in the world. Couldn't defeat a couple, a military that lives in like caves and lives in like a wasteland in Afghanistan. We just lost a 20-year war. We lost in Vietnam. That was, I don't know how many, 23, 28, 25 years. It, we could have nuked them, right? And you could have just gone on bombing runs constantly in Afghanistan, but we try to even not kill citizens of other countries, usually, shouldn't say always, but usually, at least to try to not look bad. So imagine trying to kill your own people, how bad that would be. And then you would really get people who even oppose gun laws to be like, no, stop, this is not right, this is not worth it. So you would get pretty much everybody turned against you if you tried to, the government tried to force people to get their guns removed physically, either with threat of killing or imprisonment or whatever, taking away your stuff. It wouldn't work.
In case the government became a bunch of cunts, you could all get your guns and fight back. And that's what I was written. Yeah! And that made a hell of a lot of sense when it was just muskets. But you do know the government has drones, right? You get that?
I was right.
You're bringing guns to a drone fight. Like, if we went back to muskets, I'm all for it. Keep the Second Amendment. If we all have muskets, muskets are awesome. Every cunt should be carrying a musket with them at all times. You know what's good about the musket? It gives you a lot of time to calm down. Someone calls your wife fat and you're like, fuck you, buddy. Nah, you're not a bad guy. You're all right.
That's a good joke. Good joke. Well, he has some really great. I mean, I'm definitely like this video much better than the first one. You know, second to best point was for defending against the government if they get oppressive. But I mean, I had mentioned drones before, and I mentioned going door to door. Trying to take people out, and yeah. I mean, how would you even know where all the people what would you mark the houses that have guns that haven't turned them in? How would you know if they have guns that they didn't turn in yet? How would you know the people who you think have guns, and the ones who you don't think have guns don't have guns? And then just dropping drones on your own citizens, bombs from drones, or shooting missiles from drones. I think it would usually be bombs if people are on the ground. it would be so bad internationally. It would be so bad internally. It would probably not even be able to be implemented in terms of just legally, in terms of physically getting people to do that to their own citizens, um, and what could be their own family. Um, the only way I could see this happen is like, and again, it wouldn't even work because you wouldn't know for sure which guns have houses, which guns don't, which ones are fully compliant, which ones aren't. Maybe in the future, if they scan houses for guns and they can see, maybe they probably have that technology already. But if the military was able to be controlled, if these drones were able to be controlled by like one person or a small group of people, and they could scan houses to see if they have guns, then I could see it being a possibility. But that's even that. I mean, at that point, it would be a dictatorship, and they could make whatever the laws they want. So at that point, it's already lost cause. You should just try to leave the country. But I'll try to end on the point we most agree on is mental health. Trying to bring good in the world and trying to reduce the amount of mental health issues there are. He was talking about crazy people and you can't do this because there's this crazy person, this person did this, and this person did this. And I think it's two things: IQ and mental health. And the more we can raise the average IQ, the more that we can lower the mental health issues, the better the world as a whole will be, no matter what country you're in. Um, and yeah, so anyway, thank you very much for watching. Love you, God bless. And if you watched the whole thing, you are amazing for sure. But if you didn't, if you just watched the response, I hope. I'm sorry I stopped so much and talked so much, but I want to get my full thoughts out there fully, and I want to be authentic. So, but yeah. Anyway, if you want to comment, please just try to be loving and try to focus on facts. Again, in my opinion, is if the murder rate goes down and it's clearly you can show somehow, I don't know how, but if you can somehow show that it's because of these certain gun restriction, that's something to look at least. And I still think even if it did or didn't reduce murder or crime rate, a total gun ban or most gun restrictions should not be done away with, because you want to have something to protect yourself in case the government gets tyrannical. And I guess I just kind of thought of my own little mistake that I did, is that if the government tried to attack people with you want to have the guns for any tyrannical situation, not just if they're trying to take the guns away, not just a situation in which they're trying to take the guns away, but any sort of situation that could be tyrannical. And yeah, like I said, it would have to be something I couldn't even imagine. I just can't imagine a situation in which the military would turn against its own people en masse. It would have to be, I don't know, something I can't really even imagine. Maybe all the wealthy people are hoarding the water or something that everyone needs. That yeah, I don't know. Can't really think of anything else. But in which case, I really don't. It would either turn into like a Venezuela situation where the only people who are like okay in society or comparatively are the people in the military and police. So if it were something extreme where resources like food or water were being hoarded and maybe the military and the police got them, then I could see that maybe the guns wouldn't be, and maybe the military would turn against the people. But that's such an extreme situation that I don't think would happen or will happen either ever or for a very very long time in which a lot of would change about America. I think it would. Anyway, again, back to the main point: mental health. As much as we can get that better. So, if yeah, thanks for watching. God bless. Love ya. Have a good one. And finally, the video is over, right? But hope you liked it.